It's no surprise that one of the world's most recognizable planes is also the most expensive private jet in the world. This is Air Force One, a Boeing 747-200B that cost $660 million to build and has been particularly customized for the President of the United States. The phrase Air Force One, on the other hand, refers to any of the presidential transport aircraft operated by the United States Air Force that the President is actually in. So, Air Force One is the radio call sign that's used by any Air Force airplane while the President's on board. It's not the plane's official designation. However, the call sign has evolved to be linked with certain aircraft that have been designated for use by the President for both domestic and foreign travel purposes. Air Force VC-25A designation has been assigned to two identical Boeing 747-200B jumbo jets that have been in service since 1991. But what exactly does the Air Force jet offer? Why is it specialized for the President alone? To suggest that President Biden flies on a Boeing 747-200 is an understatement of the truth. Air Force One's official designation is VC-25A, which indicates that it's a military aircraft of the United States Air Force. According to the White House, the commercial skeleton was officially customized to transform it into a mobile command center in the event of an attack on the United States. Let's go to the specifics. All of the plane's electrical systems were updated to military specifications, and the plane was equipped with two backup power systems, according to the budget sheet. The improvements to Air Force One provide protection against a type of energy burst known as an electronic pulse (EMP) and other types of electromagnetic radiation. This is due to the possibility of nuclear bombs being dropped from great heights. Other recent additions include the self-defense system and military communications technology. But what other state-of-the-art military technologies does it have? Despite the fact that the US Air Force couldn't provide any details, the aircraft is said to have electronic countermeasures to deflect missiles. Military aviation enthusiasts upload images of the current Air Force One on the internet, speculating on what may be hidden behind the plane's many panels in the tail. On board the presidential plane, there's space for 26 crew members and 76 passengers. There are two pilots, a flight engineer, a navigator, and cabin crew members on board as well. It's equipped with a meeting and dining space, a kitchen, and a communication suite on the first floor. The press and business classes are positioned in the back of the plane, divided by a blue carpet that runs the length of the fuselage. Onboard passengers may choose from a range of 20 on-demand films and hours of music, which they can listen to using the supplied Bose headphones on flat-screen TVs in each seat. The presidential suite in the front of the plane has two twin couch seats that can be converted into beds. There's also a Wii game console and television, which were installed during the Obama Children's Travel accommodations, as well as motorized shutters. The attic of the plane takes up nearly the whole length of the aircraft and contains highly classified defense equipment, including radar jammers and sensors for detecting cyber attacks and approaching heat-seeking missiles, among other threats. So, do you think that it's possible to sneak up on Air Force One with that kind of security? Anyway, Air Force One usually flies in a convoy of fighter jets and surplus cargo planes. In addition, the plane's capacity to refuel while in flight means it can stay in the air for as long as food and water are readily accessible. Also, for several hours before an Air Force One arrives or takes off, high-powered rifle marksmen are usually stationed outside the boundary with their weapons. A section of the presidential plane is also designated for guests, who are accommodated in a different compartment from the press corps, which is actually separated by a room that belongs to the covert security team. Despite its larger-than-average size and weight, Air Force One is capable of reaching speeds of up to 600 miles per hour. With a top speed of 570 miles per hour, it's nearly as fast as Boeing's standard 747. But it still seems as if the current presidential jet isn't fast enough for some, so there have been rumors that a supersonic presidential plane may be developed. Every feature we've explored so far has a hefty price tag attached to it. And so, even while the exact figure is dependent on a number of circumstances, according to a Freedom of Information Act PDF request, the Air Force One voyage in October 2014 was claimed to cost more than $200,000 per hour in operating expenses. This includes consumables for flight, maintenance, and gasoline, which might be expensive considering the plane's fuel capacity of 53,611 gallons or more. And still, when you factor in the cost of a presidential limo or helicopter trip after landing on Air Force One, the overall cost climbs significantly more. But is that cost justifiable? Now, you will not at any given time observe Air Force One or any other presidential aircraft stationed at an airport. And aside from the obvious safety considerations, this is required in order for the plane to be able to take off in an emergency. In an emergency situation, the president would find themselves being delayed due to the lengthy taxiing durations at major airport hubs. During the time that's not in operation, this aircraft is parked at Joint Installation Andrews, a military base located just outside Washington, D.C. The two jets that make up Air Force One were first used under President George H.W. Bush's presidency in the 1990s, and are planned to be replaced over the following several years by a new fleet of aircraft. The whole cost of the project is likely to exceed $5 billion, and it'll include the purchase of two new Boeing 747-8 planes, which will be dubbed VC-25Bs after undergoing extensive customization. The vast bulk of the details are being kept under wraps, and the planes aren't scheduled to be in service until 2024. While it is the costliest plane, it's also the most exclusive, and money will not guarantee you a seat on the jet. So, what do you think of this Boeing 747-200 dubbed Air Force One? Is it worth it for the president?